Welcome back to Dimebag Darren, world headquarters here in the corner of my living room. And once again, we are going to dive back into my favorite book. You guys know what it is. It's Isaac Asimov's Foundation. Here we go. Chapter 8. There was absolute silence in Venus's chambers when the image of Prince Lefkin appeared on the televisor. There had been one startled gasp from the regent at the haggard-faced and shredded uniform of his son, and then he collapsed into a chair, face contorted with surprise and apprehension. Hardin listened stolidly, hands clasped lightly in his lap, while just-crowned King Leopold sat shriveled in the most shadowy corner, biting spasmodically at his gold-braided sleeve. Even the soldiers had lost the emotionless stare that is the prerogative of the military, and from where they lined up against the door, atom blasts ready, peered furtively at the figure upon the televisor. Lefkin spoke, reluctantly, with a tired voice that paused at intervals, though he was being prompted, and not gently. The Anachronian Navy, aware of the nature of its mission, and refusing to be a party to abominable sacrilege, is returning to Anacreon with the following ultimatum issued. To the blaspheming sinners who would have dared to use profane force against the Foundation, source of all blessings, and against the galactic spirit, cease at once all war against the true faith and guarantee in a manner suiting us of the Navy, as represented by our priest-attendant Theoapparat, that such war will never in the future be resumed, and that, here a long pause and then continuing, and that the one-time Prince Regent Venus be imprisoned and tried before an ecclesiastical court for his crimes. Otherwise, the Royal Navy, upon returning to Anacreon, will blast the palace to the ground and take whatever other measures are necessary to destroy the nest of sinners and the den of destroyers of men's souls that now prevail. The voice ended with half a sob and the screen went blank. Hardin's fingers passed rapidly over the atomo bulb, and its light faded until in the dimness the hitherto regent, the king, and the soldiers were hazy-edged shadows, and for the first time it could be seen that an aura encompassed Hardin. It was not the blazing light that was the prerogative of kings, but one less spectacular, less impressive, and yet one more effective in its own way, and more useful. Hardin's voice was softly ironic, as he addressed the same Venus who had 1 hour earlier declared him a prisoner of war, and Terminus on the point of destruction, and who was now a huddled shadow, broken and silent. There is an old fable, said Hardin, as old perhaps as humanity, for the oldest records containing it are merely copies of other records still older, that might interest you. It runs as follows. A horse, having a wolf as a powerful and dangerous enemy, lived in constant fear of his life. Being driven to desperation, it occurred to him to seek a strong ally, whereupon he approached a man and offered an alliance, pointing out that the wolf was likewise an enemy of the man. The man accepted the partnership at once, and offered to kill the wolf immediately if his new partner would only cooperate by placing his greater speed at the man's disposal. The horse was willing, and allowed the man to place bridle and saddle upon him. The man mounted, hunted down the wolf, and killed him. The horse, joyful and relieved, thanked the man and said, "Now that our enemy is dead, remove your bridle and saddle and restore my freedom." Whereupon the man laughed loudly and replied, "The hell you say! Giddy up, Dobbin!" and applied the spurs with a will. Silence still, The shadow that was Venus did not stir. Hardin continued quietly. You see the analogy, I hope. In their anxiety to cement forever total domination over their own people, the kings of the four kingdoms accepted the religion of science that made them divine, and that same religion of science was their bridle and saddle, for it placed the blood of atomic power in the hands of the priesthood, who took their orders from us, be it noted, not from you. You killed the wolf, but you could not get rid of the... Venus sprang to life, and in the shadows his eyes were maddened hollows. His voice was thick, incoherent. And yet I'll get you. You won't escape. You'll rot. Let them blow us up. Let them blow everything up. You'll rot. I'll get you. Soldiers, he thundered hysterically. Shoot me down, that devil. Blast him. Blast him. Hardin turned about in his chair to face the soldiers and smiled. One aimed his atom blast and then lowered it. The others never budged. Salvor Hardin, mayor of Terminus, surrounded by that soft aura, smiling so confidently, and before whom all the power of Anacreon had crumbled to powder, was too much for them, despite the orders of a shrieking maniac just beyond. Venus screamed a curse and staggered for the nearest soldier. Wildly he wrested the atom blast from the man's hand, aimed it at Hardin, who didn't stir, shoved the lever, and held it contacted. The pale, continuous beam impinged upon the force field that surrounded the mayor of Terminus and was sucked harmlessly into neutralization. Venus pressed harder and laughed tearingly. Hardin still smiled, and his force field aura scarcely brightened as it absorbed the energies from the atom blast. From his corner, Leopold covered his eyes and moaned. And with a yell of despair, Venus changed his aim and shot again, and toppled to the floor with his head blown into nothingness. Hardin winced at the sight and muttered, A man of direct action, to the end, the last refuge. This has been chapter 9, I believe. Pretty good. Or was it 8? I forget. Uh-oh. I'll be back as quickly as I can with the next one. Bye for now.